So as we move through these blogs or vlogs, one of the things that seems pretty obvious to me is that there's not always something interesting to talk about, and there's not always a lesson in the day. And I also feel like, having done a number of these now, that the best video is just to take it unedited. And as you can see by my editing, that I don't really edit, I just add to it. So words that I don't say or thoughts that I don't convey, I put those into bubbles. So it's like Mystery Science Theater, except for it's not quite as interesting, and it's just me. Today started off, as you'll see in some of this video, at about 5 in the morning, and pulled into one of my job sites 100 or so miles from my house to see the sun coming up, and that was pretty cool. And it kind of made me think about all of the kind of the theme that we have talked about here, what makes a good day, and routines and things like that. And you know, I have a lot of friends who always say, hey, how is it that you're able to do all the things that you do during the course of a day? And it's not any sort of secret. My job's a little bit different. I travel, I make my hours, and I decide, for the most part, it's under my control where I go and what I do. But the thing that's the most interesting to me is, the earlier I start, the more I get done. And it's just a simple factor. The more time I put in the day, obviously the more tasks I get done. And so regardless of routine, or regardless of all the other things that I attribute good days to, many times it's just getting an earlier start than others. And on days where I don't get a lot done, lots of times it's traceable to rolling out of the house at 9:30 or 10 in the morning. And you know, for a lot of people, their business day stops at 5 o'clock. So if you lose 2 or 3 hours in the morning, then you've lost those. Most people don't work till 7 or 8 o'clock at night, at least in the business world. They may, and if you're an entrepreneur and you're working in your home, but most offices are pretty cleared out by 6 o'clock. Tomorrow is a big day. We close on the Vineyard, and I've already bought the first acre of grapes, about 1,000 plants of Tempranillo, from a nursery called AA Nursery in New York, one that was recommended to me. We're using 1103P rootstock, which is very kind of a common, well-used and well-tested rootstock in the Fredericksburg, Stonewall, Johnson City area. And so I feel very lucky to get the Tempranillo. It wasn't my first choice. It's one of my favorite wines, but it produces one of my favorite wines, but it's not the first choice I had for growing on the property. So now I'm going to be spending the next few days trying to get my hands on Mourvedre and Tannat. And if we can't get those, then we're looking at a couple other varieties. As far as the whites go, most of my favorite whites don't grow very well in Stonewall or in Central Texas. I actually love big fat Chardonnays and other types of white, but it looks like we're going to be trying to do a Roussanne. And my pronunciations suck, but I'm from Texas and I know what I like. But the grape search is on in earnest, and it's a pretty interesting business already to be in, and I found people at the nurseries to be very accommodating and kind. And I start off by telling them I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, but if they bear with me, I am good for a sale if they can identify the variety and the rootstock, and they have it in stock. Most people got their grapevines ordered 2 or 3, 4 or 5 months ago, so we're really in it late in the game. I'm purchasing a greenhouse, and in that greenhouse, maybe we can start to grow early some of our vines. So we may be looking at solid rootstock that hasn't leafed or anything, grafted rootstock. And what that is, it basically looks like a stick with roots about 12 inches long. So you can start your vineyard off with that, but we're going to maybe go ahead and try to grow those in pots in the greenhouse early, starting in January or February, so that when we put them in the ground in mid-April or early April, that we still have the opportunity to get the most growth that we can out of them. So that's the plan. And so as a family, we're excited. Another big milestone is my 17-year-old and a half-year-old son is finally, hopefully, going to get his driver's license tomorrow. We live in the country, and it's a pain in the ass to get him where he needs to go, tennis, and also we're very used to our older son driving the other two kids around. So when he left, I looked forward to the day my middle son turned 16. Little did I know he would turn 17 and then 17 and a half before he kind of got the gumption to go. So that's it. On the personal side,